did we hear from the? Did he mess up maybe and realize we didn't have this?
I don't know. Okay. We will call this meeting to order. It's the regular Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting. And first item of business is the roll call.
Commissioner Rubenstein?
Here.
Commissioner Gotel?
Here.
Commissioner Gepner is not here. Commissioner Quam?
Here.
Chair Sandal?
Present. All right. First item on the agenda is the consideration of election of HRA officers for 2013. And currently I am chair, Stephen Quam is vice chair, and Doris Rubenstein is secretary. So I will open the floor for nominations.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would nominate that all the current officers stay as they are for
Okay.
the next term.
So those names have been put in nomination. Are there any further nominations? Any further nominations? Any further nominations? Hearing none, I will close nominations. And we will call the question, if that was a motion.
It's a motion.
And I will second. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
So like I
So-
got out of there.
You all get your current jobs. All right. Next item is approval of the minutes, and we have minutes of the regular HRA meeting of December 17th, 2012, and the special HRA meeting of January 7th, 2013. Is there a motion to approve?
I so move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. HRA approval of agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. The agenda has been approved. And the next item is the HRA Programs Community Development 2012 Year in Review.
All right.
And I think we're going to hear a presentation.
Yes, thank you, Chair Sandal. And commissioners, 1 second. I had to go get the password.
Madam Chair, while we're waiting, may I just
Yes.
comment?
Certainly.
We were just in a study session about discussing regarding the Lindale Lakes and the conductivity plan, and I just want to thank staff for bringing this up, because I went on the walking tour. I didn't get to the open house. I heard about the open house, and I read some of the comments. This was a very worthwhile as we think about ourselves as a broader city and what we want to do, not just in the Lakes of Lindale. This is a great place to start, but we've got the Penn Avenue corridor where we're looking at. We've got the Richfield Parkway where we're going to be looking at. I think it sets a really great precedence for some of the future work that we're going to do. So I just want to say accolades to the staff for bringing that up. I would have never thought about that had it not been for you folks.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to say I attended the open house, and I got there rather late, and it was crowded. I was amazed and pleased to see the turnout, even, in the last 25 minutes or so of the thing, of the open house. So I assume that the attendance level was somewhat steady throughout the 2 hours or so of the open house, and I'd like to thank all Richfield residents who attended that open house.
And I think the consultant indicated there was maybe 60-plus people.
I think there were more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. All right. I think one of the pluses of that new connectivity plan is that if we can develop a master connectivity plan in terms of identification, signage, we can have something that we can use anywhere in Richfield.
Exactly, like I said,
Yeah.
and it's a great
Yeah.
time and place for us to brand ourselves too for Richfield.
Mhm.
So yeah, exciting about that.
One of the things that we were looking at was if you think about 66th and Lindale, and what are the amenities that are within a very short walking distance? We have a nature center, we have Richfield Lake, we have a sculpture garden, we have all sorts of good places to eat.
Garden behind City Bella, that's beautiful, actually, when the flowers are blown.
Yeah, we have just a lot of amenities, both natural amenities plus things and activities for people to participate in. So, and we're having technical difficulties. We're still working on it
We're
here.
working on this. We can only tap dance so long, folks. Do you sing, Steve?
Well, you and I
Madam-
do.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, Madam Chair, can we just go into the consent calendar?
Yeah, let's do
Certainly
that.
can, and we
Okay,
can let
go
you
ahead.
folks work on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The consent calendar contains several separate items which are acted upon by the HRA in one motion. Once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual items and the recommended actions will also have been approved, and no further HRA action on those items will be necessary. Tonight we have several items on the consent calendar, and I'll begin with item A, which is consideration of approval of continuing a public hearing to the February HRA meeting regarding the sale of 6345 Bloomington Avenue to Brandel Anderson Homes Incorporated. Item B is consideration of approval of designating the Community Development Director as the acting Executive Director of the HRA for 2013 in the event the Executive Director is absent from the city. Item C is consideration of approval of resolution designating the official depositories for the HRA, including their collateral, for the year 2013. Item D is consideration of approval of a resolution to abide by the annual City Council decision designating an official newspaper. Item E is consideration of approval of a resolution authorizing the purchase of real property located at 6460 and 16th Avenue through the New Home Program. Item F is consideration of approval of the HRA's revised administrative plan for the Richfield Section 8 Housing Assistance Program. Item G is consideration of approval of adjustment of payment standard for the Section 8 Rent Assistance Program. Item H is consideration of approval of a consulting agreement with the Center for Energy and Environment to provide professional services for the Residential Energy Program. Item I is consideration of approval of a contract with S.R. Stevens Excavating Incorporated for the demolition of 6310 Irving Avenue and 7225 First Avenue. And finally, item J is consideration of approval of a resolution authorizing the City of Richfield's participation in Hennepin County's 2013 Economic Development Initiative, Open to Business. And that concludes tonight's consent calendar.
And is there a motion to approve?
I'll move the calendar.
Second.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Just, I want to comment, because one of the things I read up a little bit more on this approval of the resolution authoring the City of Richfield participation in the Hennepin County 2013 Economic Development Issue, Open to Business. And I'm really excited about that, as we had the State of the City and talked about how much business growth has happened in the city. And I know that we've talked to our Colleen Carey at Cornerstone. She's talked about a business incubator here, a possibility in Richfield. This would be really advantageous for us, and I'm really excited to see that we're moving forward on that. So that's one. And then I have one other question on item I. We're approving a contract with S.R. Stevens Excavating for demolition of a couple of houses, but I saw that there was demolition dollars spent, city manager, on our check register, but those were for other homes, correct?
Yes, members of the HRA and Commissioner Gottel. Now, those were ones that were authorized back in July.
Okay, all right, those are the ones for July. So,
Yeah.
and we'll have more lots, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I have a question regarding the purchase of the real property at 6416 16th Avenue for the New Home Program. In the narrative that comes along with that proposal, the recommended action, it talks that the lots would be available for the new home to construct 2 new single-family homes affordable to households earning 80% of the Twin Cities median income. My question is this are we designating this to be for that program? Or if other options come open for that property, would we be open to consideration for sale for those? Or are we committing that this would be to lower income or medium income houses?
Madam Chair and Commissioner Rubenstein, I don't believe that we are committing ourselves. The funding for this is coming solely through the HRA, so we're not locked into
Okay.
an affordability. Sometimes we, as a staff, we look at the neighborhood, the geography, the lot size, the lay of the lot, and we recommend that it be for that use, but we wouldn't be locked in.
Okay,
And
thank you.
Clearly, the HRA has said we want to have an equal balance in
Yes.
terms
Right.
of affordable and new upscale housing.
Yeah,
So,
and that goes in the decision-making as well. I believe we've had 12 Richfield rediscovereds in the last 14 months, and we have not done nearly that many new homes. So a lot of it's trying to achieve that balance as well.
Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Are we ready to go forward, or should we continue on with the
We can skip
regular-
ahead.
Yeah, I think we
Okay.
had to skip ahead.
Okay. Item number 6.
Thank
Mr.
you, Chair
Davich.
Sandal, members of the HRA. Item number 6 is consideration of a request for subordination of an HRA transformation program loan at 7720 Vincent. And again, here I'm going to turn this over to John Stark.
Thank you, Chair Sandal and Commissioners. Andrew and Jean Metzis, who are here in the audience tonight, own a home at 7720 Vincent Avenue. In May 1999, they received a $9,980 transformation home loan from the HRA. The homeowners are seeking to refinance their first mortgage and are requesting a subordination to the HRA lien. The homeowners are proposing to consolidate their home equity line of credit into the first mortgage. The home equity line, or HELOC, is currently in third position, so adding its debt to the first mortgage causes an increase in the debt superior to the HRA's lien of 69%. The HRA's subordination policy limits this increase to no more than 50%. As a result, the request was denied by staff. The homeowners are appealing that denial and have asked that their request be brought to the HRA for consideration. The HRA's lien is a 30-year forgivable zero-interest loan that is currently in second position behind a 15-year fixed-interest primary mortgage with a balance of $76,884. The HELOC, which is currently in third position, has a balance of $48,217. The homeowners are seeking to consolidate the first and third mortgages, and the HRA's lien would then be in second position behind the new 15-year fixed-interest primary mortgage of $130,250. The current combined loan-to-value ratio is 63%. The new loan-to-value ratio would be 66%. The HRA's policy requires the loan-to-value ratio to be at or below 80%, which this obviously meets. The subordination policy provides that the HRA may grant exceptions to the 50% limit on increased superior debt in cases where superior debts are found to be unusually low with sufficient equity protection. So that's the staff report, and any questions you might have for me.
Okay. I take it we have the homeowner present here? Yes. Is it Mr. Metzis? Would you like to share with us your request?
Sure. Andrew Metzis, my wife Jean, Chair, members of the HRA. This is as simple for us as a refinance. We are trying to lower our interest payments by consolidating mortgage and a home equity line of credit. We understand there is a silent loan with the Richfield transformation loan process. We are not attempting to sell our home or change the conditions of that transformation loan. This is simply a reduction in our interest payments. We are planning on being long-term residents of Richfield, as we have been since 1975.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can I ask you what you did with your transformation loan?
We did a substantial redevelopment using the Oxness Tancor, along with Parsley Construction. Also, we're part of the Richfield redevelopment. We did a expansion to the family room and a substantial modernization of the kitchen.
Yeah.
area. So
That's awesome. And you've been there, what, that's 13 years ago that you did that.
that's correct.
been 13
We've been a
years.
resident since 1975 with some
Okay.
minor changes.
Okay.
This was a major blowout for us.
It sounds like it, yeah.
We wanted to stay.
So I guess looking at the numbers, where you don't meet our guidelines is that it's increasing the amount of dollars ahead of the first loan, and ahead of the city's grant and loan. And it's going from, right now, we're behind a mortgage. What is the balance right now? It's,
Indicated at 76,000. It's less
Right,
since
and-
this initial
right.
report.
yeah, and then going to a mortgage of 130. So that's the dilemma that we're looking at. On the other hand, you do meet the 80% guidelines, your loan-to-value guidelines are met. And it is providing you with a lower interest rate. And if you do sell, we get our money back, so,
Absolutely.
Madam Chair,
yes.
may I ask, did you use the money for the HELOC to improve the home, or was that for some other purpose?
Part of that money was used for that home improvement as we do a lot of our own work. The contractors were no longer involved in this process, but we also did some work on lake property, which is clear of any liens or mortgages at this time, providing more equity for our needs.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the request for subordination of a Housing Redevelopment Authority Transportation Program loan at 7720 Vincent Avenue.
I will second.
Madam Chair, my reason for approval is they have shown that they're long-term residents and their intention is to stay. They have a free and clear property someplace else, so that's not a huge issue on them. We want to encourage residents to stay, and I think we've all can agree that in this day and age, when the percentage rates are going so low, we all want to try to make it a little more bearable for everyone. And I think we want to encourage people to stay here.
Okay. All right,
Madam
any further
Chair.
discussion? Yeah.
I have a little trouble believing that the superior debts are found to be unusually low with sufficient equity protection, which is our basis for giving the exception. Nevertheless, there's nothing about granting this that bothers me. I mean, this is just doing a refinance with plenty of equity. And the only thing about it that bothers me is that we approve virtually all of these, but we put these restrictions on people as they come to get the approval, and then we more or less ignore the restrictions. So there's something about this process that I still don't think we have right. Maybe it's because of the economy, the way we have it right now, and so many people ended up with so much less value in the houses, but I think it warrants additional discussion, because I'm going to vote in favor of approving this, but I'm not comfortable because we don't really have the technical basis for doing it.
I'd like to, Madam Chair, I'd
Yes.
like to just say ditto to what Commissioner Quam has said. This has been a consistent problem for, policy-wise, for the HRA, and I think we really do have to revisit the policy, and, you know, as the economy may improve, we may have to revisit it again and change the figures again, but policies, this is not a constitution that we're dealing with. These are bylaws and statutes. And so I think we really need, I will vote in favor of this as well, because of the history of the homeowner in Richfield, and, you know, how this is going to improve our community. But at some point next month or the month after, I think we really have to discuss this again. I think in the whole time that I've been here, at least in the past couple of years, we've only denied one request for this kind of a change in subordination. So clearly, we're out here to help our homeowners, but we have got to be respect our own decisions here.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
I just add one more thing, and that is that if they didn't have the loan from us, they would have no problem at all refinancing. And I don't think it's our intention when we give these loans to cause problems for our homeowners. We're trying to encourage what they're doing, and yet somehow we've got a situation now that's always making people come with, especially a situation like this where they have to come to us to get past the guidelines.
I guess my one other comment would be that when we did do a subordination in 2002, and at that point, the balance owing on the mortgage was $192,000. Now the new mortgage will be $130,000, and the value of the property is appraised at $214,000. So we still have plenty of equity. We're not risking the HRA's dollars. I think for me that's kind of the telling point. But maybe we need to take a tweak at the guidelines another time.
Yep.
So, all
Madam
right.
Chair, I just want to
Yes.
make sure, this isn't pertaining necessarily to this one subordination, but I want to make sure I understand kind of what's being asked of staff. It is true that in the time since the last policy was adopted, there has only been one appeal that the HRA has denied. So that's accurate. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm hearing. Is it that if that you'd like to see fewer of these come to you, and that maybe there's a way to get them approved administratively, or are you looking for more rationale to deny?
Can I just add, it sounds to me like you're looking at, like the HRA is looking at, the restrictions that are built into staff granting, administrative granting these, is, from what I hear, is too restrictive. And you'd like to see us take a look at lessening that burden, so to speak, so that we have the administrative authority based on a set of criteria that you'll approve after we come back to you, to sort of maybe catch some of these things that, like in my mind, again, what commissioners have spoken to in terms of our position in this particular case, still being very favorable. We're protecting the HRA's money. Yeah, there may be a way to take a look at this. We can take a shot at that and come back, or maybe even put out an HRA memo with some ideas in it and see where you want to go.
I think that is the bottom line, is are we doing anything that will jeopardize the HRA's position? Because we have seen a number of them where we've maybe gotten $1,000 out of a short sale because the equity was gone now that the market has tanked. And so we're trying to protect what we can of the city dollars so that they can be recycled and so that the next homeowner can use them if the current homeowner sells. So, but we thank you for coming. Did we call the question yet?
We have not.
We have not, so we should do that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So thank you for coming, and we appreciate your hard work, and keep investing in your home.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, are we ready now to go back? Are we gonna try it again?
Yes, whatever remedial training we have had out there has been taken, I think.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Okay. So
Poor
we'll go back on the agenda.
It's okay, I was ignoring you.
All right, so this is our Community Development 2012 Year in Review.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners, and thank you for your patience on my technical difficulties. Obviously, the HRA operates numerous programs designed to improve and diversify the city's housing stock, assist lower-income households, and support development and redevelopment in the community. The following presentation is just a brief overview of these programs from the past year. However, I will mention that it's not all that community development does. This is just that's specific to the HRA programs. Richfield Rediscovered is a program that was established in 1990. The program facilitates the construction of new single-family move-up housing, owner-occupied housing, through either the sale of buildable lots acquired and cleared by the HRA or $50,000 in development credit granted to a qualifying project. Over 100 new homes have been built through this program since its inception. This past year, in 2012, we had 13 Richfield Rediscovered applications. 3 of them were through the credit program, 10 were through the lot sale program. 6 of the new homes have been completed. 3 are currently under construction, 3 are in process, and 1 of the credit applications had been withdrawn just for timing reasons. I will note too that we have 4 lots remaining at present, and we are continuing to acquire new properties to clear, to make buildable lots for. And the vacant lots can be found on the city's website if anyone's interested. Just wanted to show the houses that have been constructed this year or under construction. This one's at 6507 Bloomington. It's got over 2,000 square feet of finished space, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 3-car garage, and is valued at about $366,000. This is 6609 Humboldt with over 3,000 of square feet, 7 very efficient bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, 2-car garage, and valued at $348,000. This was a large household that built this home, needed the bedrooms. 7326 Sheridan, approximately 1,700 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, 2-car garage, valued at $275,000. 7408 Sheridan, over 2,000 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2-car garage, and a value of about $275,000. We obviously like kitchen pictures, so. This is 7338 Queen, with approximately 1,700 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2-car garage, and about $235,000 in value. You'll notice most of the homes have 3 bathrooms and 2 or more, or 3 bedrooms, 2 or more bathrooms. These are requirements of the program. We have minimum requirements, so we wanted larger homes to be constructed. 6616 Second Avenue, approximately 1,900 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, 2-car garage. This one was also Green Path certified, which is similar to LEED. And this was in the fall Twin Cities Parade of Homes. This one at 7220 Russell is currently under construction. It's about 2,000 square feet. Again, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms. Estimated value of $400,000, and they are anticipating a LEED certification on this property. This one is also under construction, 6500 Logan, about 2,600 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. This one's unique in that they also have a mother-in-law suite being constructed within the property.
Boy, this one went up quickly, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and these pictures weren't taken too long ago. 7544 Second. They're obviously just beginning construction, and it'll be about 1,800 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, $260,000.
Can you go back to that one?
Sure.
That is one that was built on the bikeway, and one of the things that the realtor told us was the reason they were very interested to build on that site was right next to the new bikeway on 76th Street.
This is 6825 Grand. This was just approved by the HRA in December, so that's the lot last summer. But this will be approximately 1,600 square feet, and there's a drawing of what the finished product will look like. And this one, 7537 DuPont, is coming before the HRA this evening. So assuming it gets approved, it will have approximately 3,200 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, and an estimated end value of $350,000. This is also proposed Richfield rediscovered at 6438 Bloomington. This will be coming to the HRA next month. And that moves us on to our new home program. The new home program also began in 1990. It was designed to provide home ownership opportunities to low-income households. Over 30 homes have been built since the program's inception. We currently have 8 lots available, but we've been holding on to those lots until there's better market absorption of what's out there, because we have a lot of affordable homes that are available on the open market right now, and we're not looking to compete at this time.
If I can comment.
Stop somebody from wanting to buy one, though?
Pardon me?
Are you saying you're not just not advertising them? I mean, if somebody still wanted to make a new home here, they wouldn't be able to look at those 8 lots? Or?
Oh, on the new home program, absolutely. If there's a nonprofit developer that's interested in working with us to build one, we'd be happy to. Usually it's something that we initiate because of the affordability component. And we typically have to, the HRA typically has to subsidize in some fashion to make the property affordable.
I just wanted to comment, I was thinking about the square footage of all these brand-new Richfield rediscovered homes, one as many as 3,200 square feet. When my parents built their story-and-a-half Cape Cod in Richfield back in 1952, I think it had 900 square feet on the first floor, no garage, 1 bathroom, 2 bedrooms, a living room and a kitchen, and a basement that was unfinished, so things have changed.
Yes, they have.
Yeah. Of course, when they moved out, it had 5 bedrooms, so there you are.
Oh, wow.
And 2 baths.
Chair,
Yes.
as I watch these, it would be neat if we could publicize this in some way, just the way it's been done here, because when you see all of these pictures going together, you get the sense that there is a movement going on in Richfield. And I had another thought. I talked to someone a week or 2 ago who was looking for one of these sites to do a Richfield rediscovered house. And he's talked to you, and he's a businessman that's come into the community, but he didn't like the few sites we had left. And I told him about the $50,000 credit if he wants to go out and find a place and do it by taking down a house. And I don't think we emphasize that enough, and perhaps we ought to, because we're running out of lots, or we're running down on lots. And the choices may be greater if people knew that they had that option. The other thought I've had is that I recently read that Edina had 91 teardowns last year, and new houses are being built on them. And it would be neat if we could get a little bit more of a regional publicity about this, because we've got these opportunities with a $50,000 credit for doing these houses, and a lot of the lots that they could build on are closer to Southdale than an Edina lot would be.
More affordable.
And yeah, and more affordable, particularly with that credit. So I've been tempted to write a letter to the Edina Sun Current and tell them they ought to come over here and take a look at our lots.
Well, and we're encouraging it as a community, and I'm not sure all of our neighboring communities are encouraging tear downs.
Some of them are building McMansions next to very small houses. I understand that. I could say that ours have been a lot more tastefully done. But I did want to make one point, because I was actually, I mean, you hear all the gossip either at the hair salon or at the nail salon. So at the nail salon, when I was there this last week, I sat next to a woman who is an OBGYN physician who works at Southdale in Edina, and she had had 3 homes in Edina, but when she really wanted her ultimate home, she came to Richfield and bought a house and took it down and built her own home. It's over by the Woodlake, behind the Woodlake Nature Center in that area. And she couldn't have been more thrilled. She said Richfield was a far better location for her and a really great community, and she really preferred being over in Richfield rather than Edina. So that was really a very nice thing to hear.
Absolutely. And just a commentary on the credit program, absolutely, if people are interested, you know, there are properties out there that you can pick up for $50,000. The one on the screen, we picked up this last year for $52,000. So, you know, that basically covers that cost, you know, the additional, the tear down. But
Yeah, I do have a question. I know a while ago I looked at the bulletin display board over by the development section to the right of the council chambers. And there were different before and after pictures. That would be a good place to
Yeah.
display some of the new homes and your interior photos to show people what you can do.
Absolutely, we will do that.
Chair Sandall, members of the HRA.
Yeah.
One of the things I was just telling Mr. Stark is that I'd like to take this portion of the presentation, because it's so well done, and it really pictures very well what we are doing, and do a quick out and about show and just feature the program again. We did it, Pam and I did one not that many months ago.
Right.
And, I don't like to repeat a show that close, but I think, we've got we got more pictures and stuff to work with, and just to keep on, pumping up the interest in it.
Especially as spring comes.
Yeah, especially spring coming. And, the housing market's turning around again. It's coming back, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Please continue.
Moving on, this is just a photo of one of the new home acquisitions from October of last year. And this is a picture of a vacant lot of an acquisition that we did last year as well at 7225 First. This is a double lot. And it will actually, we have it slated for one new home and one Richfield rediscovered. So it'll be split. The Transformation Home Loan Program is a home improvement loan program that the city offers that provides interest-free loans of up to 15% of project costs for large-scale remodeling projects, and those are projects valued over $50,000. The maximum loan amount you can get through this program is $25,000. The loan is a deferred loan with no monthly payments and is forgiven after 30 years if you remain in the property. We have done a total of 158 loans to date from program inception in 1993. This past year, we did 4 transformation home loans for a total of almost $86,000, which leveraged about $575,000 in combined investment into Richfield housing stock. 3 of the 4 projects that were approved in 2012 did receive the maximum funding of $25,000, so they were very large-scale projects. Just quick couple photos of some of the transformation projects. This is at 7320 Colfax. They did a new kitchen, great room, a new master suite, and added a tandem garage stall. So that's one behind the other, that is side by side. This one is at 7320 Upton. It included a new kitchen, mudroom, and master bedroom suite. This one is at 6526 Sheridan and also had a new bathroom, garage, and entry. They received an $11,000 loan.
By the way, very good friend of mine, that's her house. She was at my house for dinner last night. She can't be more thrilled with how things went with the city.
Oh, fabulous. This one's at 7319 Logan and has included a new kitchen, dining room, bedroom, and bathroom. This, just as an aside, was a family of 5 with 3 daughters, and they were living with 1 bathroom. So I don't know who is more excited, the parents or the daughters. Commercial developments, obviously the HRA contributes quite a bit to the commercial developments and facilitates those. Highlights from this past year include the completion of the Lindale Plaza Apartments at 6401 Lindale Avenue. That's a 94-unit apartment building, offering 80% market rate units and 20% affordable rents. This was the former Woodlake Plaza Retail Center, which was demolished, and the construction was completed this past fall. We had the opportunity as a staff to tour it recently. It's beautiful. They did just a nice job. I have a couple interior pictures for you. They have 74 of the units already rented, so that's above their expectations. They're very pleased with that. I will also note that this project, in addition to receiving tax increment financing through the city and HRA, did receive $800,000 in transit-oriented development funding through Hennepin County for a transit plaza, and $352,000 from the Met Council for infrastructure improvements. This is what it looks like, the finished product. Very beautiful. And these are some of the interior photos that show the units and common spaces. They just did a beautiful job with all the finishes, really nice. Also, we saw the Lindale Station constructed and completed this year, almost in its entirety. There's one building left to do. That was the former Kmart site, and the current development includes a 45,000 square foot LA Fitness, which we all notice is quite busy now, and a 19,500 square foot retail center, which is also completed. There's a future 8,500 square foot retail restaurant pad that the developers did receive an incentive from the HRA when purchasing the property that would sit on from the HRA. They would get a refund of the majority of their what they paid for it if they begin construction of that building by June of 2014.
I have a question. As a result of the LA Fitness going in, and there's no question, I mean, that's bringing people in from all different places, that they closed the Bally's at the hub. And that's a substantial, a pretty large property. The rumors of Bennigan's going in where that's, just rumors at this point. And so there's two very large gaps in our retail space occupancy in downtown Richfield's real, heart. And I'm wondering, what kind of discussions have we had with the owners/developers of those properties? Have there been any between the city, between the HRA, between the Chamber of Commerce? I don't know. Because to have those two spots, big spots, empty is a real, it's painful.
We do keep in contact with the owners of the property. Anytime we have a lead or a suggestion, we certainly pass that along to them. And you're also probably aware that one of our staff members, Christine Costello, has just transitioned into a new position for the city as an economic development liaison. And I'm sure she will be more involved in that regard and through the chamber as well.
There hasn't been any discussion of redevelopment of those sites by the owner that you know?
No, not that I'm aware of. This is a picture of the completed LA Fitness, which I'm sure most everyone's seen many times, and the Lindale Station retail strip center. We have been in recent contact with the developers and asking about lease up of this building, and they have indicated that they're in lease negotiations with several outfits, but not at a point where they could share any information. Lindale Gardens at 6400 Lindale, which of course is the former Lindale Garden Center. That project, they have just submitted their planned unit development application. So they are moving forward with that. The project will include the Lakewinds Co-op grocery store. The Co-op grocer is intending to tear down the existing garden center building and build a brand new building on the site. There will be a retail liner on the north end of the grocery store building and a freestanding 150 unit upscale rental housing development as well on the property. And there will be a number of quasi-public amenities, including trail connections, a plaza, a splash pad, the city's farmer market. The satellite one will be hosted there this summer. I don't know that they've set a date, but it'll likely be a Wednesday or Thursday.
Just a comment for those who are listening. For those who are fans of farmers markets and miss them during the winter season, next weekend and the last weekend in February, Bachman's on Lindales is going to be having a farmers market in cooperation with the Fulton Farmers Market. So, they're our neighbors. They've been good friends of Richfield for ever since that was Richfield, and people might want to check out the farmer's market.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this 150 units of upscale rental housing, are we asking that they include any affordability in that project?
As part of the tax increment financing, they will be providing 20% affordable.
Okay, good.
Just of note, this project has received quite a bit of outside funding. Quick rundown, they received $850,000 from Hennepin County, $650,000 in a business subsidy from the city and HRA, $163,000 from DEED for site contamination investigation and cleanup, plus another $100,000 redevelopment grant from DEED for pet improvements at 64th and Lindale. $1.6 million from Met Council for planning and transit-oriented development, and then additional tax increment financing from the city and HRA. The grocer and the apartments are intending to begin construction late spring, early summer, and are hoping to be complete late fall. This is a draft plan of the most recent concept. It shows the new building for the co-op grocer and then the 150 units of apartments. And the odd shape of the building, that kind of Z shape, was designed so that the maximum number of units would have a view of the lake. This is what the property currently looks like, in case you forgot.
It's when they cut the weeds.
Pizza Luce. Pizza Luce acquired the former Bridgmans in January of last year. They began construction in early spring and opened the 140-seat full-service restaurant with a beautiful outdoor patio in July, and have been very busy ever since. The complete exterior and interior rehab ran about $2.5 million, and the HRA awarded a business subsidy of $250,000 to the project, which probably we wouldn't have gotten as many amenities associated with it without that. Other notable mentions, just the Lakes at Lindale connectivity plan and some landscaping improvements that were done for the Lindale Avenue municipal liquor store. This is the concept plan for the Lakes at Lindale connectivity, and of course we had the work session just prior to this, so this hopefully will be completed in the next couple months. The Lindale Avenue liquor store landscaping, I am assured will look much better than this in the spring. There are plants there, but they got cut down for the winter.
I saw them cutting them down and didn't know what was going on.
So
Okay.
it should be quite lovely this spring.
Okay, great. It was really tired before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Redevelopment acquisitions, just quickly, in the Cedar Point 2 housing redevelopment area, the HRA acquired 3 single-family homes, and then in the former City Garage North Site redevelopment area, an additional single-family home was acquired there to help facilitate redevelopment in both of those areas. Foreclosures, unfortunately, the numbers creeped up a bit in 2012 to 177 between January and November. That's up from 123 in 2011 for the same period. Foreclosures have peaked back in 2008 with 230, and there's been about 900 foreclosures since 2008. This map shows that they're pretty widespread throughout the city of Richfield. And unfortunately, Richfield was one of the hardest hit suburbs through the foreclosure debacle. In response to the significant number of foreclosures in Richfield, the HRA began a foreclosure purchase incentive program, or FPIP, back in 2009. The program offers either $10,000 in purchase assistance or $15,000 in rehab assistance. in the form of a deferred no-interest loan that is forgiven after 5 years. The loan has no income restrictions, but does require that the property be continuously owner-occupied and that there be a minimum of 20% equity in the property. This past year, 4 FPIP loans were originated, one for the $10,000 assistance, 3 for $15,000 in rehab, 21 total loans since 2009, and that equates to 21 foreclosed and vacant properties that are now owner-occupied. This is just one of the homes that received the FPIP rehab loan, and we just wanted to show a quick picture of what was done. The total rehab cost was $20,000. It included a furnace and water heater replacement, new plumbing, a new kitchen, and new bath. And fortunately, the buyer was a professional tile setter, so he did all his own work and did a beautiful job. It's very lovely. Also, the HRA received federal funding of approximately $1 million back in 2009 to purchase, rehab, and resell foreclosed homes. The sale proceeds were allowed to be recycled to continue the program through March of this year. So as we sell properties, we were able to take the proceeds and then buy new properties, foreclosed properties, and rehab them and resell them. But funds have to be committed by March of this year, and then the program's ended, unfortunately. 4 houses were purchased and rehabbed and sold back in 2010 and 11, and then the 5th purchase rehab was sold this past July. These are some of the NSP houses, as we call them, 7401 18th Avenue. This one's at 7324 17th and 7527 Bloomington. These are ones that we've identified and are working with the banks to acquire before our funds are taken away in March.
Nice
so,
houses.
yeah, nice on the outside.
Yeah.
Assuming that we are able to acquire these, the houses will be rehabbed and sold in 2013. All of these houses are required to be sold to households at earning 120% of the area median income or less. And we do work with the Greater Metropolitan Housing Corporation to complete the purchase and do the rehab for us and manage the sale. So we've done quite a bit. The Community Fix-Up Fund is a new rehab loan program that was launched in 2012, and it provides home improvement loans to residents at a 3% interest rate. The city applied for a matching grant from Minnesota Housing to write down the interest rate down to 3%. It's been a very successful program. So just in the past year, 11 loans have been originated in Richfield, and the loans range from $9,000 to $35,000. Again, we work with the Greater Metropolitan Housing Corporation to administer this program for us.
Is there a minimum loan amount for this program?
I believe $5,000 is the minimum that you can take through this program. Community Development Block Grant. The city receives approximately $200,000 annually through Hennepin County for the Community Development Block Grant program. We typically use the funding to acquire substandard houses for demolition and construction of new affordable housing, provide deferred housing rehab loans to low-income households, and we also fund several public service agencies with the funds as well. Additional services include home remodeling consultations, architectural consultations. The architectural consultation program was new in 2011, and that's a really great program. It provides a 2-hour consultation with a licensed architect, and the homeowner only has to pay $25. The HRA picks up the additional $225 for it. And several of the Richfield Rediscovereds and Transformation Loan folks have utilized the architectural consultation program. We also host a realtor workshop each year to tell realtors working in the area about Richfield and give them information to help better sell the community. And then we also contract with the Housing Resource Center to provide additional services, including emergency assistance referrals, access to various housing rehab loan programs through the state, and different educational programs for first-time homebuyers, and foreclosure prevention. Just a little update on some of the housing program marketing that we implemented this year, including translating our housing brochures into Spanish, an out and about episode on the Richfield Rediscovered program, if you haven't seen that. Very enlightening. And then the city's new website, we've updated our housing information on there as well. So folks can jump out there and access all the different information and get contact information as well. This past year, the HRA hired Stantec Consulting to conduct a rental housing inventory and needs assessment. That was completed back in May, and the final report identified a number of gaps in our housing inventory and the needs out there, and that has led to a housing visioning process that will be undertaken in 2013, which you'll hear more about in the coming months. Last couple things, Kids at Home program. This is a program that provides shallow rent assistance combined with social services through a licensed social worker to foster housing and financial stability to households with children in the Richfield schools. 31 families were served in 2012. Basically, the purpose of this program is really to help stabilize the households for the kids. They really suffer in school when they have to move around quite a bit, so this allows them to have stability and maintain going to one school and one household.
Is that an increase or a decrease from the previous year?
That's up 1 or 2 families from the previous year. We typically have funding for right around 30, so. Section 8 rental assistance is a federally funded program that provides rent assistance to very low-income households. 332 households received rental assistance through Richfield Public Housing Authority in 2012. That is up from last year. And that changes from year to year because we can have more people, what they call it poured in, come from other communities and bring their vouchers, and then we administer those. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
Any questions or comments?
Madam Chair, regarding the Stantec inventory report, I believe that we were taking that to the Met Council to talk to them about the amount of affordable housing and such that we had and how that was counted and such. Do we get any report back on that?
Well, yes. Both Karen and I have been in dialogues with the Met Council staff as they work on their, what they call Thrive 2040 plan. And they, and I think you heard this at the legislative update, they have heard communities loud and clear on that topic. And I do believe that they're going to completely revamp the way that they do, the way they determine their affordable housing expectations in the communities. And a lot of that did come from our rental housing study, a lot of the data, and we did bring that to them. We sat down with Met Council staff and went through all of that information.
It's good to know that we had an impact and they listened.
Yeah, thank you. And I would just make one comment, since we've been talking about all of the improvements in home and new homes and remodeling. For those of you who have now gotten the bug that you watched just recently, all these lovely kitchens, we are the Richfield Remodeling Show, which has a new name. It's now called the Richfield Home and Garden Expo, will be held February 16th at the Richfield High School from 9:30 to 3:30. A lot of vendors. The city will be there with all of the information that you might want to know if you want to do some remodeling or repair. It's a Saturday, February 16th, and it's free. And lots of good food and entertaining things going on, and well worth visiting, a nice excuse to get out and see your neighbors. So put it on your calendar.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is number 7. Mr. Davitt?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the HRA. Item number 7 is a public hearing, and it's regarding a resolution authorizing the sale of 7537 DuPont Avenue to Colette Teresa O'Shea and the execution of contract for private development with Colette Teresa O'Shea for the development of a single-family home under the Richfield Rediscovered Program. And I'm going to turn this over to Karen.
Thank you, Chair Sandel and Commissioners. The Housing and Redevelopment Authority purchased 7537 DuPont Avenue back in 2010 and demolished the existing substandard house in 2011. Colette O'Shea, the buyer, along with Jim Clem Construction, the builder, has submitted an application to purchase the lot and construct a new home under the Richfield Rediscovered Program. A purchase agreement has been signed between the buyer and the builder. The new 2-story home, which you saw in the previous pictures, will have 3,200 square feet of finished area, 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, and an attached 2-stall garage. The home will also have an estimated end value of about $350,000. Construction is expected to begin in March and would be completed in the summer of 2013. The builder anticipates showcasing the home in the Fall Parade of Homes. And if the project is approved by the HRA, project information, including plan elevations, will be mailed to the surrounding neighbors as a courtesy. The appraised value of the lot is $48,000. The HRA acquired the property back in 2010 for $60,000 and demolished the existing structure for about $7,400. And under the terms of the contract, the purchase price will be $48,000 for the lot. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay. I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this matter? Do we have any? Okay. Would you be willing to come up? Because I had a couple. I was very interested in seeing the light well. Maybe you could tell us about that. It looked very on the plans. I've not heard of one before.
Well, it's just a Nancy egress window, basically.
Okay.
Gonna dress it up a little bit so it's not just a egress pit, I guess.
But it lets light into the basement
Yeah.
recreation area, which I
Yeah.
thought was really nice.
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger. It's not just the exit. It's
Okay.
adds.
I have a question, is how many occupants are going to be in this home?
In the beginning, 2 adults and 2 dogs.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions for contractor? Okay, well, it was very interesting to look at the plans. We're really glad you're working in Richfield.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments? No more comments. I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Also move.
I second.
Okay. And this is for the sale of the property at 7537 DuPont Avenue to Colette Therese O'Shea, and then to authorize execution of the contract for private development with the buyer for the development of a single-family home under the Richfield Rediscovered Program. All right, any discussion? Well, we've already seen the proposed
Plans,
lot
yeah.
and the plans, and it looks very interesting.
I want to move there. Beautiful home.
Right near my neighborhood house, so I'm happy to have it there.
Right.
I'll call the question then. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And we're looking forward to seeing it on the Fall Parade of Homes. That'll be great.
Yeah.
You know, just bringing up the whole thing about these wonderful homes and everything, if I may, Madam Chair. You know, and we have done it very successfully and very nicely, and it's fit in the neighborhood pretty well. But as we move forward too, because I think this may become more of a trend, it appears to be, are we looking at any of our policies and stuff so that we don't have McMansions overtowering other homes? And if not, should we?
No, with regard to McMansions, I think that the way we address those is through our zoning, with the maximum building heights, and there are some maximum coverages that are allowed. And to date, it hasn't, to my knowledge, it hasn't been a problem.
Okay.
I think if one were to come up that was problematic that we were hearing from the neighbors, that's a problem. That's probably where we would address it, is on the zoning side of things, like, how could we have better controlled this through zoning?
So do we think we have good enough control?
Personally, I do. The houses that have been Richfield rediscovered houses are all typically the biggest houses that are built in the community, and that, because of the credit or our involvement, that allows us to have a little bit more influence over the design than would otherwise be the case. And I think the result has been houses that fit in with the neighborhoods really well. Obviously, if people don't agree, if people see some examples of houses out there that are out of scale with the neighborhood, or that the design just doesn't fit, we'd want to talk about it.
Okay, Mr.
You know, if
Klum?
Have any of the houses that have come in so far reached right up to the limits in terms of height, setback, well, not setback, we know that, but height and lot coverage?
Yes, almost
They've
all
come
of
right
them.
up to the max.
Almost all of them. The builders are pretty good about figuring out what the envelope is that they can build in and pushing right up to the edge of that envelope. I think the issue we've seen more frequently than problems with size and scaling are more kind of design issues. A lot of times we'll see proposals come in that really are lacking in windows, have huge, large expanses of walls without sufficient windows. And that's, again, where, it's kind of the carrot and the stick. The zoning is the stick side of things, but with the HRA funding, we're able to push them a little bit as staff and say, we'd be more inclined to recommend this as staff if you could do some things here with windows, and maybe doing something to make the garage less prominent. And we feel like that's working.
Okay.
I asked that question because if they're building up to the max on what we've got available now and we're not running into problems, then I think that indicates that we've got pretty good regulation on what the buildings should be.
Mr. Damage?
Yeah, Madam Chair, members of the HRA, you know what I would just add? I'm remembering back to the 1990s, and Commissioner Klum, you can remember this when we first started the program. One of the first criticisms that we were up against was, you're putting this this newer, bigger kind of house in the block, and you're going to, I think at the time, the average, boy, this really dates me. I think the average value of some of the homes in the neighborhood was probably less than $100,000, and we were putting in homes that were going to be about $130,000 or $140,000, and there was the idea, well, that doesn't fit with the neighborhood. It's not going to work. All of those things, and what we found is, yeah, it did work, but what I think is, there's a delicate balance between not putting a McMansion in the neighborhood, but at the same time putting something in the neighborhood, I don't know, for lack of a better word, that challenges the neighborhood. Because, what we saw from Richfield Rediscovered in the beginning, and what I think we're still seeing, is that when you put that kind of investment into a neighborhood, you put a beautiful home like we've seen into a neighborhood, what it does is it generates an interest and a reinvestment kind of interest in the homes, the rest of the homes in the block. And, gosh, back in the days when I was still working a dissertation on that, you look at the pin chart that we had of where we put in the Richfield Rediscovered homes and the value of home improvement permits around it, and you could see they radiated around those homes. And, that's the beauty of the program that I think we've done and the way we've been able to manage it. We've gotten away from having to deal with the McMansion kind of things, but at the same time, it's just been a little bit to push the neighborhood upward.
Interesting.
Okay. All right. Next item is number 8, and that is the appointment of the task force. Staff, would you care to speak to this?
Yes, Chair Sandall, members of the HRA, I'm going to turn this over to John. What we've put together is is a recommendation, and we have put together some information on those that have sent in applications, and you'll see from what Mr. Stark is about to describe is that community development took a very careful look at a whole cross matrix of demographics and looking at who could be a part of a committee such as this. And I think we've, to the best of our ability with the applications that we've had, tried to address those issues. So, Mr. Stark, if you want to take over.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm not going to go into all the background of the housing visioning. You guys know what that's all about. But you did hire, the HRA did hire John Shardlow with Stantec at the November HRA meeting to start this process, to kick it off. At that time, we told you we wanted to wait until after the holidays so that we really wouldn't be interrupted, could get people really involved. So since that time, we have been doing our best to get the word out. We've solicited input from elected and appointed leaders, so we did get recommendations from most of you folks. And we placed articles in the Richfield Sun Current and Patch, and we placed notices in public locations throughout the community. From that process, the staff report says 24 people have submitted a form. That's actually 25 now. Brad Reinerson also has submitted his application. Brad's a member of the Richfield Chamber of Commerce as well as a resident who's been involved in the community. So we've got 25 people. I'm just going to run down some of the characteristics of, and Brad's not in this because he was added, but 4 are 18 to 30 years old, 12 are 31 to 50, 6 are 51 to 70, and 2 are over 71 years of age. 22 are homeowners and 2 rent their homes. 11 have school-aged children. 3 are members of Richfield's Attainable Housing Committee. We say here that 4 are members of Richfield Commoners United. You know, that's a bit more of an informal group. I'm not sure that they have a roster per se, but 4 of them over time have identified themselves as to staff as being members of that group. 2 are teachers. 5 are employed in areas of real estate sales, design, or related kinds of things. And 2 are members of the clergy. You know, as I said, we do feel like we made our best effort to get the word out. We would have liked to have seen a little bit different makeup on this. We would have liked to have seen more ethnic diversity. We would have liked to have seen a better geographic disbursement. If you plot these out on a map, they are more focused on the west side of town. So we would have liked to have seen that. But this is, you know, these are the applications we got. Both staff and the consulting facilitator feel that a size of now 25 members would really be too big to be manageable. And I know that when I heard from people about the City Hall task force, I believe that was 25 members, upwards of that. And what I'd heard was people felt like that was a little too large to be manageable. So for those reasons, staff is recommending that from the 25, we scale it back a little bit by doing a couple of things. One is by asking the Attainable Housing Committee and Richfield Commoners United to each designate one person to serve on the task force. And I do realize, you know, we might lose a couple of good people through doing that. And then there were a couple of people, Andre Thibault and Corey Coots. They both indicated in their applications that they were going to have a difficult time making several of the meetings. So for that reason, we think we should designate them as either advisory or alternate members. And we would recommend that Brad Reinerson be added to the list as a chamber designee. And the Chamber of Commerce has noted that they would consider him in that role. So that would bring us to 18 members. You know, this is one of those things that staff's not tied to this recommendation. We're putting this out there as a possibility. We're open to whatever you think would be the best way of doing this. I would tell you I had a planning commissioner call me who expressed some concerns about the ability of commission members to participate. And his question was whether or not commissioners would be considered observers or active participants. As it stands now, as it's being recommended, I think it's more the observer role, because we would bring back whatever this group comes up with. We would bring that back to you for formal acceptance, and so that does give you a role in that way. But again, that's something we're open to, whether you want all commission members to be considered active participants, whether you think maybe each commission should designate one person to be an active participant and the others to be kind of more observers. That's really up to you.
Okay,
Madam
I'm going to throw it open. Go ahead.
I'm disappointed too because there aren't people of color on here.
Yep.
And this is a big issue for me. When we have 20% of our community people of color, and I know that I said I would actually help with, if staff would help with penning a letter to some of those pastors, and I would contact them, but I was never contacted to do that. I know I specifically said that I would do that, and I was never brought into this because I'm sure that I could bring people of color into this realm. And I think we need to go back and do that. I don't want to move forward with just something that's, if we want that, then let's go back and run at this again. And why don't you ask for some more help from whatever we can do, whatever resources we have. I see Councilmember Garcia here who's connected to the Latino community as well. We really need to have that group represented somehow, or people of color somehow, and it's not. And do we have apartment renters at all in here?
That was my other question.
There are two
There
on
are
the
two.
list.
Okay, that's good. We do have some.
And I was looking both there's rentals, but we have a significant portion of our community now that is living in, City Bella, Gramercy, Woodlake Village, et cetera, that are condo or co-op owners, people who are living in, what's the place behind Main Street? Castile Place. That's a condo.
Yeah. And I would tell you, we did put something in the lobbies of many of these places.
You did.
Yeah, and, it's frustrating. I know it's frustrating
Yeah,
for you.
it is.
It's frustrating for us. You can't make people participate. We do feel like we reached out to several of the communities you'd mentioned, and didn't get the response.
It does make a difference, though, when somebody either is sitting on the HRA or from the council, city council, goes and asks them.
Mhm.
So I would encourage you to reach out and get some help from some of us here.
Yeah.
And get a couple people on this, so that 10% of 20% of it should be people of color, just like it should look like a community. As much
Exactly.
as possible.
Yes.
I know this is difficult.
If I
Mr.
might add, I
Yamish?
mean, there's nothing that prevents an HRA member or a council member to just jump in and do that.
I know, I
and
don't like
get
to
whatever
walk
help
over
there
staff.
is.
I don't want to walk over staff, and if they're going doing some things, and I'd like help with staff too. So we're working together in conjunction, I think we might be more effective. And so that's why I had offered to be some help, and so I think more and more we need that. Guess we're going to need that.
For purposes of just keeping track, I know I had spoken earlier with staff, and number 6 was a renter, I believe. And was there someone
Yes.
else? I don't remember.
Yeah, there was, and we gave you almost all of the information. We did take out a couple of columns from this for privacy reasons. We took out people's email addresses, their phone numbers, whether they had kids in the school.
Of course.
And we did take out whether they were renters or homeowners. I can tell you, I know number 6 is a renter, and there is one other tenant, but I can't tell you off the top of my head who that is.
Okay,
I'm going
I
to
go-
ask everyone. Mr. Klum, did you have any strong feelings one way or another?
I guess I was thinking about three things. I'm okay with the staff recommendation that members of commissions not be active participants in the task force, because when it comes to us, we could take it apart and reassemble it any way we wanted to anyway, if we decided we wanted to have different policies. But I think what we're looking for is broader input than just what we bring from up here. So I'm okay with that. I am also, I agree that I think we should have more ethnic diversity. And actually geographic diversity too, if there was any way to do it. But I think we should do it for the reason that we want the best people who can give us the best insights into a particular perspective. And I don't think that automatically what color you are makes you better at deciding what housing needs there are for the city, but I think there may be insights that you may get that way that would be worth seeking out. And the same thing with, I don't think automatically geographic location indicates that you're going to be one of the best people for a housing task force study, but it will bring some insight if you've got at least somebody representing particular areas of the city, because they'll know about issues that other people may not know. So I guess I'd be comfortable going with Commissioner Gotel's suggestion that we just try a little bit more to at least go for the diversity and ethnicity.
Okay, did you have any comments, Doris?
I wanted to volunteer to go to talk to the a board member of condo associations at Woodlake Village and at City Bella and Gramercy. I'll give a call over and say I'd like to talk at your next board meeting and see if we can get at least one person from one of them to participate in this. I really think we need to have, you know, as you said, we have to have the commission and the task force look like who lives in Richfield, and got to have a representation from more congregate housing of people who are owner occupied, though.
Okay.
That's my volunteer.
I guess my one comment would be is I like the staff's suggestion about asking the subgroups that have particular interests to select who amongst them
Yeah.
would there be their best representative.
Yeah.
I don't think we want to overweigh it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I think, so that would be, I think, fine. And I gather you've actually gotten some input from some?
I did get responses from several members of both groups indicating that they were fine with that, and that both had one person that seemed to be the likely candidate.
Okay.
Madam Chair, one other question is, this idea of advisory alternate member, since we are trying to keep our task force at a manageable level, what exactly is the advantage of adding two people who may not be able to attend a number of the meetings? Does it make more sense just for us to choose to be selective on that count?
They can be observers like anybody else can to a public meeting.
Yeah,
right?
our thinking was that really their advisory role, or whatever we wanted to call them, would end very early on. That their purpose is, once we've got dates out to the, let's say, 18 people, if 3 of them all of a sudden write back and say, gosh, we had no idea what we were in for and we want off, then we could go back to these 2 people and say, here are the dates again. Can you tell us one more time about your availability? But once the process started, we want to stick with the smaller group.
Thanks, that sounds, I think that's a good idea.
Okay. So, and the consensus from up here, I think I'm hearing, is that commissioners are welcome to attend. It's a public meeting, and they certainly can observe, but that they'll get they'll crack at it when it comes back to them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if someone who's on a commission would like to be on the task force, would we suggest that they apply to be on the task force?
No
I mean,
comment.
I don't want to
I don't know if that would be good or bad. I don't know, because I mean, I know that we just appointed one of our former council members, Susan Rosenberg, she's a commission member now, and she would also be on the task force then. So she would be serving in 2 capacities. We haven't always allowed that in the past. We have made it a little bit more strict on not allowing commission members on those task force.
The reason I ask is that a commission member asked me about this, and had the idea that had that person known that the only way to be on the task force was to apply for it rather than to be on a commission, they would have applied for it. So if we're leaving it open and we're accepting more nominations, that might come up.
Well, I think anybody can put in an application, and then
Okay,
this body can take a look at it and decide, we have 25 commissioners applying, maybe that doesn't work.
right. We
Yeah.
might make the decision not to at
Yeah,
that point,
yeah,
but they
yeah.
certainly could apply.
Sure.
Okay.
If I might just add, and again, what we present to you this evening is just simply a recommendation. You've got to start from somewhere. If you want to handle it completely different and go through and do some other process to determine who you want to have on this housing task force, then you should go ahead and do it. It just, I don't, and what's going to happen is, well, it seems to me, at least now we're looking at probably the meeting in February when we'll be making these appointments.
Well, and I would, I will work, but I have a little bit of travel, but I will work to try to help John get a further communication and a foot into the door of some of our diverse community and
Yeah.
see. And like I said, sometimes if somebody else like the mayor or council member asks, they are more likely to step up and do it. And there are some very high-quality people who could be very, very good to have them on here.
Well, then I think that, the critical thing there is to get that information as to where you want to go with it.
Yeah.
As soon as possible, because.
I'll need to work with you closer, John.
And again, if you want to have a committee that's smaller, larger, those are all your decisions to make. It just, I thought it would be awkward for staff to make this presentation to the Housing Redevelopment Authority without even some kind of a framework to work off of. And wasn't our expectation that this would be something you just take and run with. But at the same time, I think it gives you a framework to work, and you can see what we have to work with in terms of applications so far, and where you want to go with dealing with the composition of it.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I just want to tell the staff that as far as I'm concerned, I think you're doing good work, and I like the variety of skills and abilities that are reflected in the task force. And had I not been enlightened a little bit by some of my fellow commissioners, I probably would have voted yes for what you recommended
Well,
tonight. So I don't think you're that far off track, and I agree. I think we should get it done within a month now and get it moving.
But I should tell you that so what we sent out to the public, we called them an interest form. If you're interested in serving on this task force, here's a form for you to fill out and give back to us. We didn't ask people what their ethnicity was. So there may very well be people on this list that are of.
I know a lot of them, and it does not appear as if we have.
Yeah, so I don't know is
the groups
the
we
answer. And so I'll want to talk with the city attorney about whether that's an appropriate question to ask a task force applicant or not.
The other,
Go ahead.
the other thing that I might suggest is if we're going to add more people, we may actually want to discuss limiting the number and making a selection. And I know the council does a process which selects people through interviews, and we might want to follow something like that and be the
Especially if
ultimate
we're-
decision makers about who goes on.
And I know if we want somebody from the condos, if we get some more people from the east side, if we get some more people of diversity, that could be 8 to 10 more applicants, and
Yeah.
we don't have room for that. That's not going to work. It's going to be too big, and we're going to have to limit this somehow.
My opinion in talking with the consultant is that really 20 is about the largest we'd want,
Right.
and about 12 is probably about the smallest we'd want.
I agree.
Okay.
So I guess the question is, does this body want to do the 5-minute interviews that the city council does?
I think we're going to be left with having to do that so that we can whittle this down.
Okay, so then we better schedule something the best we
Yeah.
can.
Mhm.
Before, we need to set a deadline for the people to submit their interest form, and then preferably before the next HRA meeting, have met with as many of them as we can.
Is that interest form online on the city's website?
Yes, it is.
And so there's, well, there would be, it wouldn't be owners like we have for the city council, because it would be maybe 25 folks we're going to be talking to, 25, 30.
That's about the same.
Was it? Was it more? I thought it was more.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, and the tricky part is getting it so everybody's available. I mean, that's always the hardest part of the city council
Saturday
interviews.
mornings work really well for people to come in. We had most of them there except for a couple. We did, and if we do the phone interviews as well with these folks, that's also helpful, especially if we know them ahead of time. And we've done that with a couple of them, and that worked well.
Well, if we're looking at Saturdays, you will be looking at probably February 9th. The 16th is the Home and Garden Show. Sundays, afternoons, that would work.
Yep.
The
Sunday
17th in
afternoon
the
works for me
afternoon.
generally.
Or the Saturday, the 9th in the morning, possibly. Because our HRA meeting is on the 19th. I suppose we could do some earlier. We have a list of people already that could be scheduled.
Yes, we could.
We could do them on the 2nd for those we already have their names and just see how many we could fit in.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not here on the second.
Well, here are a couple of thoughts.
Mhm.
One is, we could make more of an essay kind of a question on the interest form for people to write in why they want to serve on this. And then you could judge based on people's written comments instead of having face-to-face interviews. That's one thought. Another thought is, we could, I'm presuming you'll all be at the Home and Garden Expo. We could have the, just kind of open interview times there, when people, any of these 25 people would be in attendance there.
I think that might be distracting. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it would be.
I think it would be better to have it offsite. Okay, so,
Why don't we tentatively say the Saturday, the 9th?
Saturday in the morning and the 9th, I have to be out of here by 1, but,
Okay. Just
or
make
12
that-
preferably.
That's good to have a parameter.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yes, I have, you've got 3 tickets that day also. huh?
I'm going to see the Book of Mormon,
Oh,
so
good.
there you are.
Okay.
Maybe we could start early, 8 o'clock?
Yep,
Got it.
February the 9th, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
That 8 a.m.
All right,
Madam Chair,
yes.
maybe staff knows this, but I'm wondering what we're expecting of them between now and the 9th. Beyond what they've done already for soliciting interest.
Well, perhaps if we contact them to say, are you available to come to a 5-minute interview, and could you fill in some additional information?
No, I mean
Yeah.
staff. What are we expecting of staff in order to get more people?
Oh, okay.
Here's what I would suggest. We'll make sure you know how to access the interest form.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I heard Commissioner Rubenstein saying that she'd be willing to talk to some of the condo or co-op communities to try to maybe find somebody that would be interested in doing that. And maybe, I think I heard Commissioner Gotel and possibly City Council Member Garcia, who's in the audience, would be interested in maybe trying to identify some other individuals willing to fill out the interest form.
That'd be great.
And I may have a couple of people on the east side, which would be,
That would be great.
Yeah.
yeah.
So primarily, we're offering to help bring in additional people. We're not asking them to advertise again or something like that. Is that right?
I think so.
That's right. We're going to do more targeted activities.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk to the Sun Current and Patch about
Okay,
additional.
Thank you.
all right, that's
And
very
then-
helpful.
And then just as a backup, Sunday afternoon, the 17th, if we need it, is that available for
I think
people?
I'm around.
Yes,
Okay. Say at 1 o'clock?
okay, let's put it in for tentative.
That
That We're okay. No, I
Okay.
just,
Okay,
Valentine's Day is the 14th, right?
it is. Okay. All right, so we're asking staff to set up interviews of those who are interested, request a brief paragraph of interest in addition to what they've already done, and then schedule the interviews, and then we will try and solicit some additional
Right.
names, and it is still open
If we
Yeah.
get some other interest.
if someone
right?
else has an interest.
Okay.
Okey doke. All right, so, next item on the agenda.
Chair
Yes.
Sandal, I just want to
Yes,
make sure I understand something, just so we have clarity. So with respect to those two groups that wanted to be part of this, where the suggestion was that that only one of them, so what,
They would
So-
still be interviewed, just like everybody else, is my
well,
thought.
who's they would be interviewed? The
Well,
one person
they're
or
selected.
all of the people? I mean, how do you want to treat that? Do you want, I mean,
At that point,
we've
we could interview them
suggested-
all.
that,
We could, if they wish to select one, that would be fine, but we could certainly interview them all. That would be all right.
Ask them what they want to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
But, so if it's that they're going to submit one person, then you'd want that paragraph from that one person, and that one person would be interviewed, and the others would basically step aside. Is that right?
But if they all want to interview, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your call, you know.
And they may wish to, because, we don't know who we're going to select.
Yeah, I think it maybe would be appropriate if they all interviewed.
I
That would be
believe
easier.
too.
Yeah,
And, Madam Chair,
yes.
I think I heard an expression from the group that we're inclined to follow the recommendation that we just select one from a particular interest group. So that, I think, could be conveyed.
In the interviews that we will be interviewing everyone, but we will be selecting.
Okay. All right, any further questions from staff? All right, very good. Item number 9 is HRA discussion items. I have one, which I will bring up. And that is, I brought this up to staff, and that is that we have the HRA memo number 7 talking about the request for qualifications of developers who might go forward with the Cedar Point housing to the, let's see, that would be the west of Cedar Point, the commercial area. And the memo talks about multifamily senior housing, high density, and I just wanted to say my preference would be that it'd be a little more open on the off chance that we have other just rental housing that not necessarily seniors. And I know I spoke with John about this, and he indicated that part of the reason it was suggested it be senior is that there would be less outside spaces for senior units rather than regular rental. But I guess I want to keep that option open since we're looking at visioning and housing.
And I know that I had a resident actually come up after the council meeting to me and ask, say, they would even like it further broader, because they even think that there would be some possibilities, some retail with housing over it or something else possibility there too, and realize it might need some comp plan changes, but that actually we've accommodated that in the past. So maybe we should even be broader than that.
Oh, I think we're looking, if the HRA agrees, that we want to be a little more open just to see what's out there and whether we can
Yeah, see what comes up.
I agree.
find something.
I agree.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I have a couple
Yes,
of
go ahead.
items too. And this is just so that the rest of the commission up here also understands that I've had some conversations, and there's been dialogue back and forth with city staff regarding the parking over at the Lindale Station. And we know that LA Fitness has gone in, and it's been hugely successful, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing, and I'm so excited about that. But as we move forward and we see how full that parking lot is, and that retail closes up and starts to get rented out, and also the restaurant, I've had various discussions, but again, we've had kind of contradicting things that have going back and forth about what to do about that. And when I was at the ribbon cutting at the LA Fitness, the regional manager was chagrined that there wasn't the thought of structured parking there. but Wellington has said that, you know, he didn't, I talked to him at one time and he was not in favor of that and said that LA Fitness was not in favor of that. So, but when I talked to regional people, they said they were. So I am back in contact with that regional manager to see if this really is the case and what is going on. And I've talked to Commissioner Johnson about the availability of helping with the financing of that, and he is very open to that. So I just wanted to, this is an FYI for information. I'm trying to look at and heading this off ahead of time, and staff are being very helpful. So I just want to thank the staff for that, and I'll keep you apprised if anything comes up out of this, letting us know. But I'm concerned about that parking issue there.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Gotel, where are you talking about this structured parking?
To the side of the LA Fitness, which would be to the east of the building, is where it would fit in. And it would fit in structurally, and there's a wide enough street there that it wouldn't encumber those apartments and such.
I
Thank you.
recall that discussion.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
where they were talking about it.
So, I mean, again, we don't know what's going on, because again, we're getting conflicting stories, and we all have gotten those back and forth, and so I'm still chasing this down and talking to county and other folks, so I know that the possibility still exists. I think we're gonna have a problem if we don't.
I haven't driven by to see that the parking lot is full. Is it full?
Yeah, it is sometimes. It's fairly full, and if we get retail in there, it will be much more full, and if we get a restaurant in there, that adds to it. There's a restaurant pad. I see it as a, depending on the restaurant too, when they serve might be even an issue. If there's a breakfast place, those morning hours start to fill up pretty quickly. So,
Madam
Okay.
Chair,
Yes.
I have two observations on that. One is that if you think about the places that people consider really successful, for example, in Uptown or at 50th in France, they always have structured parking because it allows for much higher density development. The second observation is that we'll probably have to pay for it because it doesn't make economic sense for developers to develop it.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do look at it, we should look very carefully at how it could be shared for a broader region and how it would benefit the whole Lakes at Lindale intersection and area.
My thoughts
Because
exactly.
it could be a fantastic addition to the whole area if it were done right, but it's also a costly and difficult thing to do.
Could be a transit station.
Yeah.
yes, it could. We have a real opportunity there.
Yeah.
We have a real opportunity, and again, I'm just in the preliminary stages of this, and staff is helping me out, and I appreciate that. One other thing that I just wanted to talk about too, and as I have been, and I talked before the meeting to City Manager Steve Devich regarding the Lindale Plaza Apartments, and there was some impinging light issues on some of the residents, and they have taken care of that. Thank you very much. And there still is a couple of other issues that has nothing to do with the apartments, but other lighting issues, light pollution back there. But the one thing that I really noted when I went and visited those people is what happened to their backyards and their homes, and how overpowering that big structure was to their homes. They've literally lost their view of the sky out there. They look at a wall of apartments, and they, even with the retail, they could see over and see out. And, you know, this one of these things when we think about the housing task force that I talked about, looking at buffers. We need to look at buffers. And I would like at some time to have a conversation regarding acquiring maybe some of those homes that are highly impacted by those apartments. There is not enough buffer there. And I've talked to other cities, Bloomington and such, where they have those buffers, and they wouldn't have put that close. And I don't think we were watching that all so careful, and I think we've learned a lot of things like we have from some of our other development, but it's worth going around there and going and walking in their backyards now. It's a very different site.
I was under the impression we were going to have some trees that were going to be in between.
There will have some trees, but they still do not have sky anymore at all. It wasn't just a corner cut off or something. They look at a four-story building. They will not have the light at all in their backyard anymore. It's a lot more encumbering than I thought it would be. You know, and I don't know if they did shadow studies or what on those homes or not. but it was a lot worse than I thought.
Okay. Anything else from anybody? I just had a question. Is the Menards open? Are all those cars parking in their lot customers or people working in the store?
They're opening sometime around, like the 7th of February, somewhere around there. There are a few things that are holding them up, one of which is me.
Oh, okay. And then what was your opinion of how the north side of the building? I like the fact that it almost has windows when you have all of those
That's
lit.
what's holding them up.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
windows, I think, look horrible.
Oh, I don't think so. I like.
No, it's the materials. They have a very, very thin plexiglass.
Oh,
And so when you drive down the street, you can't see what's in there. All you see is wavy lines, and their plans specified glass, not plexiglass. And they'll get my sign up when they have glass.
Well,
Okay.
you know, they've asked me to override that, and I told them I would not, because the plans they came in with called for glass. And I rode up and down 77th a couple of different times, just looking at that, especially, well, I guess it doesn't make a difference if it's a real sunny day or not, but if you look at those, it does look like it's just, like it's almost like a plastic covering rather than what they said they were going to put in. So that's where they sit. I also told them they could go to the city council if they want to override that.
Yeah, and I don't want to give the impression that staff's being draconian on this thing. We just went to them and said, listen, what was approved by the city council was glass, and we don't have the authority to approve something else. So either you need to make it glass and we'll sign off on it, or you need to go back to the city council and get something different approved.
okay. I guess I haven't noticed the wavy thing. I'll have to check it out. What I didn't like was that the other areas that are like a cement block inserts in the architectural design, kind of like a window, but they're blank.
Yeah.
That I didn't like.
My recollection is, didn't we make LA Fitness have glass, and didn't,
Yep.
and CVS as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
So
I would say Menards was, they were more of a struggle in terms of getting them to make design accommodations, and you know, we never get everything we want, and we didn't there.
The front of the building is nice. It's a lot of windows and light and,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and the other place that doesn't look as great as it could is back by what was the Burger King.
Oh.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Those are the end of my discussions. Anybody else? Okay. Executive Director report.
Madam Chair, members of the HRA, I really don't have anything.
Okay. Claims and payroll.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And we have no further business. We stand adjourned.